70% of people over 65 will need some form of long-term care during their lifetime. The average cost of a nursing home in America is now over $100,000 a year. And here's what most couples don't realize: Medicare doesn't cover any of it. When one spouse needs long-term care, the financial impact on the other spouse can be devastating. Here's what every married couple needs to know. Long-term care isn't medical care in the traditional sense. It's help with daily activities, bathing, dressing, eating, getting in and out of bed, managing medications. People who need long-term care aren't necessarily sick. They just can't do these things on their own anymore. This is one of the biggest gaps in retirement planning. Most couples plan for the cost of retirement. Few plan for the cost of needing help during retirement. And when reality hits, it hits hard. Let's clear something up right away. Medicare does not pay for long-term care. It will pay for short-term skilled nursing care after a hospital stay, up to 100 days, with significant copays after day 20. But ongoing custodial long-term care is not a Medicare benefit. A lot of people assume Medicare will cover whatever they need. It won't. This is one of the most expensive misunderstandings in retirement planning. The numbers depend on where you live and what level of care you need. Here are rough national averages. In-home care, where a caregiver comes to your house, runs about $30 an hour. If you need someone 40 hours a week, that's about $62,000 a year. If you need full-time round-the-clock care at home, the costs explode. Over $200,000 a year in many places. Assisted living facilities, where you have your own apartment with help available, run about $5,000 to $7,000 a month. That's $60,000 to $84,000 a year. A semi-private room in a nursing home runs about $9,000 to $10,000 a month, or over $110,000 a year. Private rooms are higher. In high-cost states like New York, California, or Massachusetts, these numbers can be 50% higher. In lower-cost states, you might pay 70 to 80% of these averages. But anywhere you live, long-term care is expensive. Here's the part most retirement plans miss entirely. When one spouse needs long-term care, the financial damage doesn't stay contained. Let me walk you through a scenario. A married couple, both age 75, with $500,000 in retirement savings. They're living comfortably on Social Security and modest withdrawals. Then the husband has a stroke. He needs full-time care. The family decides on a nursing home. The cost is $120,000 a year. In year one, that $120,000 comes out of their retirement savings. The wife still needs to live on the remaining income. The savings are now $380,000. In year two, another $120,000. Plus the wife's normal living expenses, plus inflation, the savings drop fast. Within 4 to 5 years, the entire retirement nest egg can be gone. And when the husband eventually passes, the wife is left with significantly reduced Social Security and very few assets. She might be in her early 80s at this point with 20 more years of life ahead of her, and almost nothing to live on. This is a real pattern. It's called spousal impoverishment, and it's one of the most common financial disasters in retirement. Once a couple's assets are nearly depleted, they may qualify for Medicaid, the government program that does pay for long-term care for people with very limited resources. But Medicaid has strict asset limits. To qualify, you generally have to spend down nearly all your assets first. There are some protections for the healthy spouse, but they're limited. Medicaid also has a 5-year look-back period. If you transferred assets to children or others within 5 years of applying, those transfers can disqualify you from Medicaid for a period of time. Late-stage attempts to protect assets often fail because of this rule. The bottom line is that Medicaid is the safety net of last resort. It pays for long-term care, but only after you've exhausted most of what you own. That's not the legacy most couples envision. This is one option couples consider. Long-term care insurance is a policy that pays a daily or monthly benefit if you need qualified long-term care. The pros: it protects your assets from being drained by care costs. The benefit is paid directly to you or the facility. You have flexibility in choosing where and how you receive care. The cons: Premiums are expensive, often $3,000 to $5,000 a year per spouse, sometimes much more. Premiums can increase over time. Some carriers have left the market entirely. And if you never need long-term care, you've paid years of premiums for nothing. The best time to buy is generally in your mid-50s to early 60s. Wait too long, and you might be denied coverage due to health issues. Or premiums become prohibitive. These are increasingly popular. You buy a single policy that combines life insurance with a long-term care benefit. If you need care, you can use the death benefit while alive to pay for it. If you don't need care, the policy pays out as life insurance to your beneficiaries. These tend to cost more upfront than traditional long-term care insurance, but they remove the use it or lose it problem. You're guaranteed some kind of return, either care benefits or a death benefit. Some couples decide to self-insure. They set aside a portion of their retirement assets specifically earmarked for potential long-term care needs. If they need care, the money is there. If they don't, it stays in their estate. This works for couples with substantial assets, generally over $1.5 to $2 million, in addition to their normal retirement income needs. For couples with less, self-insuring is just hoping for the best, which isn't really a strategy. If both of us live to 90, what would our retirement assets look like under normal conditions? If one of us needs long-term care for 3 years, how does that change the picture? If one of us needs long-term care for 10 years, would the other spouse still have enough to live on? Do we have enough to self-insure, or do we need a policy? If we need a policy, are we young enough and healthy enough to qualify? Have we talked to our adult children about what we want? Most adult children would prefer to know than be surprised. Long-term care planning is hard because it requires confronting the possibility of decline. Most couples avoid the conversation entirely. But avoiding the conversation doesn't make the risk go away. It just means you face it without a plan when the moment comes. And in those moments, decisions get made under pressure that wouldn't have been made with time and clear thinking. Talk about it. With each other, with your adult kids, with a financial advisor or elder care attorney. Even if you don't buy a policy, having a plan beats not having one. Here's what I wish more couples understood about long-term care. The risk isn't theoretical. It's not something that happens to other people. 70% is the real number. And the financial impact on the healthy spouse can be more devastating than the care need itself. You don't need to solve this perfectly, but you do need to face it. A few hours of planning in your 60s can prevent decades of financial hardship for the spouse who outlives the one who needs care. If this video made you think about something you've been avoiding, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Have you and your spouse talked about long-term care planning? I'd love to hear what's worked and what hasn't. And if you want more content that helps couples plan well together, subscribe. I share exactly what I wish I knew so you can make smarter money moves.